militia, and that's all in their way. But we got to figure out a way to save. I don't want to see it go broke. But I took a cut way back when I had the protection of my wife. That was I put $420 a month in that darn thing for 18 years. I figured it's about $85,000. I just wonder if that was a violation of the contract. Should I get my money back? Should they stop taking it out if I want them to? I don't know. We're kept in the dark and spent manure. We have no information. How can we come up with a plan to save the retirement? Maybe we ought to turn it over to Social Security. That's about all I got to say.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, sir.
All right, next caller, please.
Next, we will hear from Gary Standard. Your line is open.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I've got a couple of comments regarding the UPS comments and the Teamster comments about the pension reduction. In 2007, they opted out for the UPS from the Central States Pension Fund. UPS claims that during that contract with Teamsters for that opt-out, guaranteed that UPS retirees would have no reduction in their pensions, and from I gather on the comments, would file suit if reductions were made to UPS employees. Regarding that, it makes you wonder, or would there be an injunction against any actions against the UPS employees due to this contract alone? And also regarding that opt-out, there was, as I went back and reviewed it, it seemed that there was input from Central States Pension Fund, UPS management negotiating the contract, and Teamsters negotiating the contract. But there was no input from retirees or future retirees that would still be in the Central States Pension Fund. I would think that would be illegal because there was personal interest or interest with Central States in UPS management and Teamsters, but they didn't have the specific interest of UPS retirees with those negotiations and that opt-out. So I'd like your comments on that. Thank you.
Well, let me. You raised some very interesting questions. Now, I cannot give you a legal opinion on the impact of Central States submission on UPS retirees and employees. I can tell you this. UPS has filed a public document with the Treasury saying that the Central States submission is illegal, that it is illegal under the law creating this program that I'm administering. And UPS has said that if this plan is approved by Treasury, this is all public. I don't know if it's true, but UPS says that if Treasury approves this plan, UPS will, in fact, go to court. I don't know. But if you go online, you can read this very complex, lengthy submission to Treasury by UPS saying that the Central States Submission's treatment of UPS current employees and retirees violates this law. And there we are. So I'm not a lawyer representing UPS. I can't tell you whether those allegations are true or not true. But they sort of mirror what you have said about the legal problems associated with this plan as it impacts UPS. And I want to just point that out and urge you to go online and read the UPS submission. Next question, Sam?
Yeah, just one thing, just to add something I mentioned before. It's also very difficult for us to look into and review facts that happened before we got this application. It's not, envisioned as part of our role in the law, and part of your question reflects that sort of issue for us, because all those contracts were signed and that contribution paid well before this law was passed. But you're right. Next caller, please.
Next, you will hear from James Heflin. Your line is open.
Yes, I'd like to know, I worked for Allied System for 28 years, and I went out on total disability. I didn't know anything about Central State having a total disability. Nobody told me nothing about it. So I went for Social Security and got total disability, but when you turn 65, you return back to your regular Social Security. So why am I being cut $1,700 a month is what I can't understand. When I went out on total disability and had no knowledge that Central State even had a total disability. Didn't nobody tell me. Will you explain to me, please?
Well, Sam, you want to answer that one?
Sure. So your comment is one we've heard many times now, and it reflects a sort of unique set of circumstances around Central States. As Ken said before, the law seeks to protect those who are disabled, but they're disabled under the definition of the plan. And it happens that many people were in your position where they probably could have filed for disability pension under the plan, but for economic reasons or other reasons they chose not to at the time. But they are drawing Social Security disability insurance. Unfortunately, the drawing of disability insurance under Social Security is not described, mentioned in the law at all. It really is based on the definition of disability under the plan itself. And this is something we've been tracking and we've been hearing more and more about. We're trying to understand how many people are affected by it. And so your comment is timely and we hear it. But we can't do much more than explain sort of what we're seeing in the law and what we're hearing from others. But you are not the first person, and I doubt you'll be the last person to have this issue arise, and we thank you for raising it. Next caller, please.
Next, we will hear from James Toll. Your line is open.
Thank you. This is Jim Toll out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. When are you going to go to Detroit?
We don't know yet. We'll schedule that. It'll be in February. It'll be next month. We'll post it. We've had tremendous crowds in these previous town hall meetings around the country, and we will post it with ample time so that Detroit, St. Louis, and Minneapolis retirees can come to the meeting at a local facility. So stand by and just keep looking at the Treasury site. We'll also announce it on our Monday calls once those times are locked in. Thanks very much.
Okay. Hey, now I got a question.
Go ahead.
You as a lawyer, we're under the Teamsters, and we're under the consent decree went under the Labor and Racketeering Act, so our government took us over under the consent decree, and they've been watching us and taking care of us and mothering us in many ways, and it's under their supervision that this pension has failed. Now, how does that square when they're the government and they're trying to take away the pension that they were supposedly there to correct or to protect? And don't I have any right to recourse under the conditions that they were the big banana in this whole thing and they take care of me and they sold me out? Because I was under the understanding that my union wasn't capable because of the Labor and Racketeering Act. So how's it different when the government allows it so bad?
Here's my answer to your question. Under the law that was just passed, Treasury has limited jurisdiction to review the submission of Central States. I cannot go back and look at the history of the plan and how it got where it was, and under the consent decree, should the Department of Justice or Department of Labor have done more? And you ask, do you have any rights? Talk to a lawyer. I don't mean to pass the buck. I've got enough of a challenge reviewing this plan and whether Treasury ought to approve it or reject it. Whether or not you have rights, these concerning the way that Central States got into this mess. Not on my watch. I can't look at that. I can only look at the plan that was submitted and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and that's what I plan to do. You should talk to a good labor lawyer as to whether and to what extent you have any other rights. Next question, please.
Next, we will hear from Stan Johnson. Your line is open.
Yes, Mr. Friedman, thank you so much. I've called once before, but I have worked for UPS for 30 years and over, and there's a lot of us that have. And we retired before 2007, and we are getting cut 50%, just like the orphans, which I really don't believe is fair at all. It's not equitable at all. That's all I have to say.
I urge you to go online and read the UPS submission, where UPS is not happy with the plan that's been submitted. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Tom Mawson. Your line is open.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, this thing on this orphans, I don't understand this. My company paid for all the time I worked there. They went out of business, but then went on and hired on with Yellow Freight. The thing is, I'm being punished because I was able to retire early. As far as working, I'm going to be 74 years old soon, sir, and I had a mini stroke about a year ago. There's a lot of us guys and ladies that are maybe helping kids go through school and might have mortgages, car payments. My pension is going to be cut to $1,232.50. This isn't fair. Something needs to be worked out where it's more equitable to everybody. So that's my comment, sir. I don't want to eat up all your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller, please.
Next, we will hear from R.J. Rose. Your line is open.
Yeah. Mr. Feinberg, thanks for taking my call.
Okay.
I like to reject this, but and listen to these other people that's been talking, I think this bill on this year was passed through Congress through the fossil fuel, isn't it? I think that's the way it was. And then back in 1980-something, I think it's 85, somewhere right in there, that the Congress took over to make sure our money was kept, had somebody watching over the government, and when it got down to a certain percentage or whatever, we could draw 85%, of our money. Now, from the government would oversee it and have to do that. So now, they want to cut me 50%. Then the man that's last year was over the retirement fund and all, they give him a $32,000 a year raise and give some more a $7,000 raise. And then here, I went through a divorce. I'm not hollering about it, but I'm 73 and a half year old. You can't find a job. So my ex is still living. And then when I went through the divorce, the court order was that, what I had to pay her half. So now, I got this from the fund plans and all. I draw right at $100 a month. And you tell me at 73 and a half year old that I can go out here and get me a job or anything. It's kind of hard to do that, I mean, people don't hire you to sit down and give you so much money every week to survive. So I can't understand that, and then UPS, I heard you on comments on that, but it's all paid into Central States Retirement Fund, so I don't think that we ought to even be cut. I mean, I can understand I think it ought to go back to the board and come up with something, instead of taking everything from us. I mean, I worked 30-something years and got up in the coal and run up and down the road in the coal, and then worked on the dock to get my time in and all. And here now, for all this I've done, I'm getting penalized for it. It won't take. But the people out here that don't want to work or do this or that, they still getting their government assistance and, the food stamps, the housing, and all this here. So I don't understand how the government can take from us retirees, and put us so, we can't do nothing, just barely pay our electricity bill and pay our little grocery bill and pay a car insurance. So I'd just like to see what you think about what I'm, give me a comment back of what to do, or what you all...
You're making the same type of comment that we have heard over and over again during the last few months, that the government, under this new law, should not go along with cuts to retiree benefits that will put retirees in dire financial straits. And my comment is, I hear you. Congress passed a law that we've got to enforce. We are now looking at the discretion that we can exercise under the law to either reject the plan, approve the plan, modify the plan, etc. We are listening. We are evaluating all of these concerns, and will, over the next few months, not weeks, months, render a decision. Thank you very much.
Next caller, please.
Next, we will hear from Gloria Daniels. Your line is open.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Feinberg. I'd like to tell you that we had a meeting January 14th to protect our pension meeting in Kansas City, and our guest speaker was Jim Cabell. He is president over the Kansas City, Nebraska, and Missouri Conference. And he had told us that the YRC was putting 25% back into the escrow fund account instead of putting the money back into the PBGC. And I was wondering if